Hello, dear pastors. My name is Richard Flores, commercial pilot and evangelist in Oklahoma. I am formerly of Calvary Chapel in Southern California and a former assistant pastor with the United Evangelist Association in Los Angeles, as well as missionary pilot serving missions in Mexico. Having served the church in various organizations within the established world of religion for many years, I am coming to you today to bring to your attention of an event that is presently underway for the first time in human history. I'm sure as you review the facts of what I am going to briefly share with you here today, you'll agree we are not only in the last days, according to God's word, but on the verge of God fulfilling the book of Revelation. The phenomena that is happening all over the world is in reference to Revelation chapter 15, the temple of the tabernacle of the testimony, or more commonly referred to as Shincheonji. The word Shincheonji is Korean for new heaven, new earth, led by Chairman Lee Man-hee, a very ordinary man through whom Jesus has chosen to work. Despite accusations to the contrary found on the internet and the news media, Lee Man-hee has never claimed to be Jesus. He instead claims that the understanding Jesus has given him is a message for the churches. Reference Revelation chapter 22, verse 16. Many people see the current situation of the world in which we are living and conclude that we are in the last days. This message I want you to hear from Shincheonji confirms that assumption, but it is not a message of fire, brimstone, doom, and gloom. It is one of salvation and hope. At the first coming, when God's chosen people had been divided into so many sects, example, Pharisees, Sadducees, Zealots, SNS, teachers of the law, etc. They all believed so many different things that no one could distinguish the truth from the lies. Jesus came to unify believers under the kingdom of heaven as Christians. Sadly, the religious leaders persecuted Jesus, ultimately murdering him. These sects all united to kill Jesus. When you watch the movie of Jesus, one can only wonder why these religious leaders just didn't sit down with him to discuss why he was sent to them and to research the scriptures with him so they could all come together. They did acknowledge the uniqueness of his ministry. Even Nicodemus came to Jesus as he was astonished at his ministry. Even the people who by the thousands followed Jesus and acknowledged the uniqueness of the message he was preaching. Reference Mark chapter 1, verse 22. Unfortunately, the world of Christianity too has splintered into hundreds, even thousands of distinct denominations, all preaching different doctrines. In the last days, we believe Jesus comes to gather all believers again to himself. We believe the Spirit of Jesus has revealed the true meaning of Revelation and the other New Testament prophecies today. And it is this revelation that will reestablish God's perfect kingdom of heaven on earth in these last days. According to the book of Revelation, this new kingdom and people of God reign with Christ for 1,000 years. Shincheonji USA, again, which is also known as New Heaven and New Earth Church, is a branch of Shincheonji Church of Jesus, Temple of the Tabernacle of the Testimony. Presently, there are Shincheonji members and temples established throughout the United States in cities such as New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Houston, Dallas-Fort Worth, San Jose, San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, St. Louis, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Phoenix, Atlanta, Boston, and many other cities, as well as in 150 countries around the world, covering 6 continents. Ever since the fall of man, God has been working to establish his kingdom on earth as it is in heaven. Shincheonji is organized into 12 tribes, and his governing structure mirrors the hierarchy of God's throne in Revelation chapter 4. The kingdom and people of Shincheonji together comprise the culmination of God's efforts recorded throughout biblical history, God's eternal kingdom, Daniel chapter 2, verse 44. And the kingdom for which we have all been praying when we recite the Lord's Prayer, Matthew chapter 6, verse 10, Revelation chapter 21, verses 1 through 3. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. As the Church of Jesus, we are working to share the words of Jesus with the whole world. But whereas most churches in the world can only share the words Jesus gave us 2,000 years ago, we are also sharing the revealed word Jesus promised to give in the future, the testimony regarding the fulfillment of the prophecies of the New Testament. John chapter 16, verses 12 and 25. We are the temple of the tabernacle of the testimony established by the promised messenger of Jesus, who is being used by God and Jesus to testify of the events of Revelation's fulfillment today. Jesus taught us in Matthew chapter 13 that at the end of the age there will be a harvest, and the harvesters are angels. We know that spirits use flesh to communicate, and so we must compare people's words to the words of the Bible to discern the spirits working within them. 1 John chapter 4, verse 1. For the ear tests words as the palate tastes food, according to Job chapter 34, verse 3. Please take the time to listen that you might be like the noble Bereans Paul encountered according to Acts chapter 17, verse 11. I have included the links to the seminar below for you, dear pastors. Please have an open heart, and if you have questions, please feel free to contact me directly or Lee Man-hee directly to his email. The email links are below in the description and also with each video. There are 8 verses in the book of Revelation that contain the phrase, "He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches." This is something I am asking you to take to heart. The Spirit has a message for us in the last days, and it is a message that should unite believers once more. Thank you, and God bless you.